Hello there, nerds. Watashi wa Nicholas Grover Desu. That means, my name's Nicholas Grover Desu. Sitting next to me is my old friend Kyoko. How you doing, Kyoko?
やっぱりシチューはオーソドックスなのが一番よね。
Indeed. Hey, let me ask you a little something. You like anime, don't you?
たまにはアブノーマルなものを使って。
Me too. Hey, if you like anime so much, maybe you'd like to go down to Konnichiwa with me.
これならどう？
Well, Kyoko, it's an anime convention held down at the Holiday Inn in Tucson, March 22nd through the 24th. If you're an otaku like certain people are, you're not going to want to miss this one. Check out this list of guests we got here. They got Steve Blum and Wendy Lee, who played Spike and Faye from Cowboy Bebop, among seriously a ton of other things coming to this Konnichiwa thing. I know, I love Cowboy Bebop. And there's going to be a ton of neat cosplayers there as well, including some high-profile ones like Rosanna Roche, Leah Rose, and Marida. On top of the guests, there'll be quite the handful of events and panels to enjoy. Panels like Otaku Jeopardy, Rage Quitters Anonymous, Open Mic Karaoke, and my personal favorite, Name That Anime Butts. Quite a classic. Say you're a brony and you like hanging around other bronies and talking about the ins and outs of pony-related cosplay, you're gonna get your chance, Kyoko. And to top it all off, a massive cosplay masquerade where you, yes, even you, Kyoko, can prove that you're the best cosplayer that no one ever was. Ticket prices are $40 for the entire event, $35 for just Friday or Saturday, and $25 for just Sunday. All of the details are going to be at con-nichiwa.com. Anyway, if you're an otaku or any kind of nerd in general, come down and enjoy this con. I know Kyoko will.
いつだって音楽に夢中でご機嫌みたいね一日中頭の中はそればっかりねいつだっておしゃれに夢中で子供っぽいの
was Neil on Grover's new drinking horn
That's Neil on my horn.
That's Neil on your horn. That was a drinking horn picked up at the Arizona Renaissance Festival, which we'll talk more about later.
You know, I'm actually deciding to become a clown. I'm going to speak only with horn.
Oh, God. Okay. We're going to kill you. Anyway, stop it. I will... You don't want to know what I'm going to do to you with that horn.
Hey, I got a drink out of that shit later.
All right. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the 12 Pack. My name is... Oh, I'm going to kill you. No, stop it.
This is the best idea, I think.
I'm going to shove that horn up your nose.
I'm going to drink out of that shit later.
Anyway, my name is James Laird. Sitting across from me tonight is, always...
Nicholas Quentin Grover.
And down at the end of the table, the jackass with the drinking horn.
Neil Picard.
All right.
Neil Picard.
Stop it now before all listeners just stop listening.
Neil, put that down.
All right.
You're getting your fucking juices all over it.
Your Neil juices.
You know, there are some places in the world that would honor my juices.
No.
Where, Neil? Where do they honor your juices?
My imagination.
Of course.
I just imagine you like in bed with a woman like, honor my juices, bitch.
You know what?
Never once has that happened.
I know enough of the women that Neil's been with, and I don't think any of them have ever said that's happened.
Do really?
Yeah.
They've never honored your juices?
Nope.
Really?
Never. Anyway.
You should start trying to get like not coerce, that sounds rapey, but like convince. That's the better that word is less rapey than coerce. Coerce? Coerce?
Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
Just random people to fucking honor your juices. That should be the way that you like sign off. Like, hey, see you later. Honor my juices for me.
Well, you know what? This show is not about Neil's strange bedroom traditions. We have a 12-pack to do.
I guess.
So, let's get this shit started.
All right, let's do it.
Cracking up this week's 12-pack, we've got a butt ton of casting news.
Is that so?
that is so. Normally we would give each one its own individual story, but because there's so fucking much casting news this week, we figured we'd lump it all together. Well, starting off, it was only a matter of time, but finally Princess Leia, a.k.a. Carrie Fisher, a.k.a. Carrie Fisher of Men. Nice joke there, Graham. I like your writing. Has joined the cast of Star Wars Episode 7.
I forgot that I wrote these jokes, and I'm really pissed off that you're reading this one.
That's why I wanted to go back and forth with you on this one. Anyway.
Damn it.
But yeah, so, of course, that was to be expected. We'd already heard talks of Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford coming back to reprise their roles.
Right.
And Lucas has just come out and said, yes, it's all true.
Yeah.
Even though Disney officially hasn't announced it yet, I'm pretty sure Lucas's word is gold.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun movie where they have Han Solo and Luke and no Leia.
Exactly. Moving away from Star Wars, because there are other movies out there besides Star Wars. Storm, a.k.a. Halle Berry, and do you want to say this joke over since you wrote it for yourself?
A.k.a. Halle Berry Beautiful.
Ba-dum-chee. 2 drums and a cymbal fall off a cliff. Anyway, Halle Berry shall join the cast of X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yep.
It had to happen.
Yeah, it did.
Sweet.
So, that's the thing is because, I feel there's a lot of things wrong with the original X-Men trilogy.
Yeah.
I felt Storm, despite lack of crazy African accent, was one of the few things done right.
You know what else? Nightcrawler. Also.
No.
Yeah,
I like
Nightcrawler as played by Alan Cumming. Great.
No, I absolutely loved Nightcrawler as played by Alan Cumming because A, I love Nightcrawler, and B, I have a huge man crush for Alan Cumming.
Wait. How about when he was Boris Grishenko in fucking Goldeneye? Did you have a man crush on him then?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Nobody screws with Boris
Grishenko.
Grishenko.
I like him in Spy Kids too, actually.
I've never seen Spy Kids.
Actually, you know what? It's a disturbingly good movie.
Really?
The original one is. The original.
Does it have? Is that not the movie with Antonio Banderas and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and Alexa Vega or no, not Alexa. Is that what her name is?
Sofia Vergara.
You're looking at me like I should know.
The bitch from Repo. Anyway, but yeah, so Storm. Great cast addition. I'm happy to see that she's going to be coming back for Days of Future Past. Now, Harrison Ford, aka Harrison Ford, is joining the cast of Anchorman 2. Woo! I love how the fact that Harrison Ford is getting up there in years, and when I say getting up there in years, I mean he is almost as old as fucking Sin at this point.
He's 70.
Yeah, but you know what? At least he's not as old as Shatner.
And dude, he's still working.
I know, and he's working a lot. That's the thing.
And in pretty intensive movies like fucking Star Wars.
And that that's the thing is when I saw him signed on to come back for Star Wars, I was shocked because I'm like, this guy can get real work, like real legitimate work that doesn't need to be Star Wars.
Yeah.
The only reason they asked Mark Hamill back is because he is Luke Skywalker. When was the last time you saw him on film?
That one movie that had Jay and Silent Bob Striking Back.
Yeah, right. As the cock knocker. As the cock knocker. That's right.
And that's only because it had Carrie Fisher in it too.
Well, anyway, Harrison Ford in Anchorman 2 is set to be playing the sort of a Brokaw character in this case, who is supposed to be kind of a rival or foil to Ron Burgundy.
I can see it.
Yeah, because Harrison Ford's really great while he's great at playing the scoundrel and the sly guy, he's also really great at playing the straight man too.
Yeah.
And I think Harrison Ford will do wonderful in this because Will Ferrell's just an idiot. And I love him, but he's an idiot.
I mean, he's great as Ron
He's a great idiot.
Yeah, he really is. So
he's a grand idiot.
Finally, there is speculation, courtesy of Latino Review, who is so accurate, actually.
We love Latino Review.
We love the Latinos and their review.
Yeah. Hello, Latinos. On behalf of all white people everywhere, Latinos, we love your reviews.
But you're also slightly Latino.
Yeah.
So that you're like our ambassador to the Latino group.
Well, I think that I could probably review things.
You probably could.
I will just start making predictions. Why don't we do that as a bit? At the end of every fucking show, right? At the end of every show, I'll make a prediction, and they'll always become right because I got that little tiny bit of Latino.
Exactly. Anyway, Latino Review has speculated that since Chris Nolan's going to be the producer of Man of Steel, Warner Brothers is hoping to bring back Bale to be Batsy. I really hope this is the case. As much as I hate Christian Bale, the thought of doing a JLA movie with a different Batman or what's his nuts from who played Robin in I can't remember his name ever. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Why can't I remember JGL? I can never remember his name.
Fucking Neil one time called him Joshua Jordan Ghost of Lennon. That's the way I remember it.
Yeah, but there was the talk about JGL becoming the next Batman in the JLA film.
That's right.
I'd rather have Nolan bring back Bale because at least it continues the story. It's gonna be confusing to figure out why Batman's suddenly back in the case when he decided to retire and leave and give everything to Robin.
No, he went to go get a kryptonite ring. That's what he did.
That could make sense.
Also, you know what? I hope that in the Justice League movie, he goes back to his Batcave and there is a giant penny. Where's the giant penny? God damn it, Christopher Nolan! Why would you do this to me? My favorite part of Batman is the giant penny in the Batcave. Where is it?
That's a really good question. We never saw a giant penny. I'm
fucking it up. See, you know what? Every movie is gonna suck. Every movie that happens from Warner Brothers, not just for DC Comics, but everything that they do is going to suck until I see a goddamn giant penny.
Giant currency.
Penny.
You stop it. You stop that. Where do you think you can buy a giant penny?
You have to have
At that giant penny store.
Ooh, let's go. Let's go to that place. I want to go to the giant coin.
Giant
The
currency.
assorted-
Probably find one in Vegas.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Casting news being done. What do we have next in the 12-pack?
Here's a little bit of bad news. In fact, we got kind of a lot of bit of bad news in this particular 12-pack. We're going to start it off with that Planet Hulk movie. Remember when we were talking about that? The Planet Hulk film?
I do.
Yeah, I was wondering why they were going to do that.
What do you mean, why?
It just, I don't know. I watched the animated one. And I was kind of
Fuck
like,
that shit. Read the comic.
Is it that much better?
Yeah. Anyway, so that aside, it's not going to happen. Forget about it. Just forget about Planet Hulk. Jossed. It is Jossed. Joss Whedon talked with IGN and asked about the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk storylines, and Whedon said, no, that's nonsense. They would not be making use of those storylines, so we can kind of shut up about it now. Come up with better theories, nerds.
Fair enough.
I'm angry today.
Well, one denial done. Let's look at the next one on the list here.
This is so weird, by the way.
Okay. Well, do you folks remember when back in the day when Michael Dorn was talking about having his own movie about Worf being a space Jack Bauer flying around and chasing terrorists?
Yes, okay, the words
Because
that-
I sure as hell don't.
I don't remember
No,
this at all.
he did say this. He was saying, and we did this on a fucking 12-pack in the past.
Okay.
He did, in fact, say, and he went around saying the exact words, yeah, I'm working on this film. This is a thing that's happening.
You know, I remember talks of Michael Dorn saying that there's a place for Star Trek back on television and that he's trying to get that involved, but this one I don't remember. However, apparently, even if this was something he was talking about, this shit ain't happening. So if you were excited, get over it, nerds. Dorn, who last year was going around saying that this was a huge thing, was asked recently by Huffington Post if the Worf movie was going to happen. And he said, no, it's not true. I made some remark to a blogger, and I said there was a place for Star Trek on TV again, and then I started writing a script, etc., etc. Which sort of contradicts what he had been saying all along. Or does it? I have no clue, which is why I refuse to talk about it anymore.
Seriously, it's just a mess. Like, I don't even know how to make sense of what he's saying. So, it's not happening. However, he was writing a script for it. Well, so it was. What are we talking about here?
At this point with Hollywood, I've come to the fact that I don't trust anything anyone says until it's officially announced by a studio.
Or Latino Review.
However, I do like to keep up what's currently being said. You know, is it happening? Is it not happening? Is it happening? Is it not happening? Because then when you finally get the official announcement, it's like, oh, okay, there we go.
Well, you know what else about Michael Dorn? Apparently, he has a real serious problem with his nose hair. Apparently, he's got like a little afro in his nose hair. In his nose. Nasal cavity. That's what I've heard. Oh, hey, James, you like yourself some Tomorrowland, right?
I do. I love anything Disney.
Were you familiar that they were going to actually make a Tomorrowland science fiction film?
You know, I've been hearing about this, but I haven't really been keeping up on the news, so why don't you educate me a little bit?
Well, according to Screen Rants, we actually have a sense of what's going to happen in this film. Like, earlier we had no clue what was going on, except that it had something to do with Tomorrowland and possibly aliens.
Possible aliens.
Possibly aliens. George Clooney is going to star, probably. Hugh Laurie going to play the villain Nix.
Okay.
Tomorrowland will exist apparently, that like the entity of Tomorrowland will exist apparently in this separate dimension, like based off of old-timey visions of the future, like World Fair shit.
Gotcha. So exactly what you see in Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Disneyland
It'll be
or
that's what I want to see.
Disney
I
World.
want to see like them getting onto like
The People Mover?
or like sitting in line. Like I'm sure like most of the movie are gonna be like they're in line, like 25 minutes at least of that movie.
Oh, good lord.
The cast includes prepubescent robot girl
Prepubescent robot girl, huh?
and a teenage girl
Ooh.
and George Clooney.
Nice.
They have to save the world by doing stuff. We don't really know.
All right, so we'll find out more and keep you folks informed on Tomorrowland.
Indeed.
Now-
Doodly.
That sounds interesting, but another thing, Hollywood gentlemen, how would you guys feel about a Poltergeist remake?
Never saw Poltergeist. Don't care about seeing the remake.
I'd check it out, I guess.
I personally can't stand
I'm
this
kind
idea.
of tepid. I'm kind of tepid.
I personally can't stand this idea. I love the original Poltergeist. It's a fantastically scary movie. And what I think was amazing about Poltergeist was it was able to pull off a PG rating, but still be terrifying.
I've never seen it. How?
You've never seen Poltergeist?
Never seen Poltergeist.
Do you know the story at all?
There be ghosts.
Okay.
Yep.
Basically, the story to Poltergeist, warning, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 25-year-old spoiler. So if for some reason you really care that much and you're that big of a nerd, skip ahead a few minutes. I don't care.
We're gonna have to take the plastic wrap off this ancient spoiler here.
Right, exactly. Anyway, so basically the plot of Poltergeist in this case is new subdevelopment, like suburb subdevelopment being built on this land, and apparently these
Indian
people,
burial ground.
yeah, these people that move into this house don't know that their house is now on an ancient Indian burial ground. That they moved the headstone. No, excuse me, not burial ground. It wasn't Indian burial ground. It was a cemetery.
Okay.
It was basically a large cemetery. But the thing is, they moved the headstones, but they didn't move the bodies.
By the way, is that a thing? Like, Indian burial grounds, like you fucking build shit on it, and then Indian ghosts happen. Or is that like where does that come from? What is that? Is that just a Scooby thing, like a Scooby Doo thing?
It's hard to say if there's a Scooby Doo thing or not. It wouldn't surprise me.
Like, did they just like make that up, or
No,
are
I
there
think there's-
cases? Of,
I think there's probably legitimate cases of sacred ground being disturbed, and
Neil,
Yes,
what do you?
Neil,
You're an expert on these things.
yeah, you watch a lot of shit on the History Channel and Learning Channel, Discovery. Have you ever encountered any real life cases where some sort of sacred ground has been, I guess, disturbed in this case, and they're
Defiled.
defiled, and hauntings occur?
Sort of. I remember when I was a kid, there was this spot in Connecticut where like there was this big. I wouldn't say it was a big
New
case.
England
No,
ghost
I mean-
story.
No, I'm just saying. They
So
found
we-
out that this house was built on a
We like it
spot
better
that
when you're quiet.
that some people considered it natives considered
Oh.
it holy, and so they tore it down.
Did they plug up the holes?
Okay, but so in any of all the shit that you constantly,
I've heard of tons of places but I've never been to any of
I'm
them.
not saying you've been, but I'm saying in Grover's case, he's asking, does this really happen?
Is such a thing even possible?
See,
Okay,
Okay.
so that's what we're looking for now.
All right.
I would assume so. I mean, but yeah. So in this case, a house gets built on a cemetery where they didn't move the bodies, and family gets haunted by, in this case, poltergeist. What
they
happens is
try and scare you out of the house.
yeah, they try and scare you out of the house. Now, there's some great scenes in this because there's like the little girl Carol Ann basically gets sucked into almost to over to the other side. She's stuck like kind of in purgatory, and basically gets sucked into the TV, and that's how it happens.
Dude, I'm fucking dead afraid of shit going on my TV.
Yeah, no, and there's this great scene with like this evil clown doll. I thoroughly recommend watching Poltergeist.
Okay.
Also, too, one of the best scenes I think that I've ever seen for horror movies that really frightened me as a kid was when the father goes into the bathroom and he starts freaking out as he starts peeling away his skin on his face slowly, more and more and more and more, till he's like nothing but like bones. Yeah, it's just terrifying.
That's freaky.
Yeah, but it's all an illusion. But he thinks he's actually doing it.
Huh.
So, but yeah, I personally hate this idea. The original is a classic, and Sam Raimi, you're free to remake your own shit. So if you want to, do a million more Evil Dead movies, go for it.
Sam Raimi, the remaker.
Yeah, it's kind of
The remake or
I am remaker.
I love Sam Raimi. Don't get me wrong, but can't he, stick to his own shit? Okay, so I know he's not the director, but he's the
maybe
producer.
he should remake Drag Me to Hell.
Right, that movie was
Remake
horrible.
You know
it
what? No,
good.
that movie was good for what it was, which was just a stupid film.
Yeah, so
Like all this shit that happened to that poor girl's mouth, like
Right.
alone.
I just watched it for the first time actually recently, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is pretty bad.
Well, I mean, you don't.
It wasn't that scary.
It's not supposed to be that scary. It's just supposed to be sort of a gross out, freak out kind of film, which is and it was fun. It was a fun movie.
So, unless I see some really convincing footage otherwise, I'm against the
I mean,
Poltergeist remake.
you were against Evil Dead.
No,
remake.
I was. Well, no, I guess I probably was against Evil Dead.
Yeah.
However, the footage looks amazing.
The footage looks awesome.
Looks disturbing. This one actually might make me feel a little sick, and that's kind of what I want. Like
Really?
I look for gross out stuff.
Surprise, motherfucker! Got some Dexter news. Season 7 shook things up quite a bit if you watched Dexter. Deb found out that Dexter was a serial killer, and there were inevitable tragic consequences to that. Those who are all kept up know that the 7th season, it ended kind of on a real uncertain note, and you don't really know what's going to happen. Well, unless we get stuck with a Sopranos-style ending, we will get to see the storyline end and resolve as the 8th season will be the last.
All good things must come to an end.
Eventually. This comes from Lisa Moonves. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but that's a fucking weird name. Maybe. She's the president of CBS, who confirmed in an interview about Showtime's future lineup that Dexter would come to an end after the season. This season's going to begin on June the 30th. It sucks because like a lot of really good TV shows are ending this year.
Well, absolutely, but
Breaking
this
Bad.
this hopefully does give us room for new shows to come in and wow us and draw us in. And I agree that when this happens, and it happens every 4 or 5 years, you've grown accustomed to a set of shows, and all of a sudden they start to end.
Yeah.
But Dexter's had a great run, and thankfully, there'll still be reruns and Netflix, and we'll be able to enjoy it. The thing is, I really feel that shows should never ever go so long they get stale. Simpsons.
I have not watched Simpsons in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's been on like some,
I've watched a lot of fucking Futurama, but no Simpsons.
yeah, no.
Make a Simpsons joke right now. Just anyone.
We'll take the spruce
That's
moose.
what I was about to do. Actually,
I don't get it. I don't get it because I've never seen that episode and I don't care.
oh, that's sad. That's a good one. Anyway. Well, don't be sad because some shows die and others are born, or in some cases, reborn. All right, remember Whose Line Is It Anyway? Of course you do. If for some reason you don't know Whose Line, though, basically, it's a groundbreaking improv comedy show that started as a radio show and became a widely acclaimed TV show in Britain in the late 80s, with such fantastic guest stars as Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles.
Yeah.
Not to mention Greg Proops.
Oh,
Fantastic.
dude, love Greg Proops.
So, now eventually the show went from Britain and came over the pond here to the United States with Drew Carey as the host. And we not only saw Colin Mockery come back, Ryan Stiles, we also got Wayne Brady,
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of other slew of comedians that are just fantastic.
You know, people always talk about like how that's the American version's not as good as the British version, but I thought it was a pretty fucking good TV show
I think-
nonetheless.
I think that show is only as good as the people on it.
This is absolutely true. I will say, in my opinion, I love the British version. I think for me, the American version was funnier at the time because, mostly because of when the difference of when the British version was on and when the American version was on. There's a lot of topical humor, and so much of that humor is dated to the 80s and early 90s with the British version. So watching it as a kid and now as an adult, there's still some great jokes, but a lot of it's very hard to relate to.
yeah.
However, I've always laughed at the American version because while still dated and while still very topical humor, I found that they weren't as topical as the British one. They made more just general jokes.
So you're saying it's coming back?
That's what they're saying in this case. Production is beginning in a couple months and will air on the CW this summer. Now, this is according to Ryan Stiles in an interview with the Wenta Chi World, and I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
I have no idea what Wenta Chi World is anyway.
The what?
But he also
Chi World.
Wentachi?
yes,
I don't know.
Yeah, Wenta Chi World. He also this is something really cool. He also confirmed that Aisha Tyler, the voice of Lana Kane, would be the host. So Colin Mockery is backing Styles up on the Twitters. They and Wayne Brady will all return.
Good.
I'm very excited about this.
I want to see Greg Proops.
I'm sure he'll be on at some point.
We should call Greg Proops, see what he's up to.
Right, we'll get him on the show.
I bet you guys didn't know this, but Beverly Hills Cop is a thing coming to CBS as a TV series.
What?
Yeah, for real.
Oh, good lord.
I don't know why. Good lord, I'm really for this. Foley is in it. Chief of Police. Thank you for the background music. It stars Brandon T. Jackson, who, if you've seen Tropic Thunder, he was Al Pacino.
I did.
You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, good. He's the plucky or unorthodox cop Aaron Foley, Axel's son. None of this is technically any new sort of info, really, except for this little bit.
This I'm excited about.
Judge Reinhold is going to be returning as Billy Rosewood.
Oh,
That's
thank
cool.
God. Because what has he done since these movies?
He's a judge. He's got his own backup job. It has been said that he's gotten a big promotion from his old job, and Screen Rant seems to think that he's like a captain or something. But I like to think that he's a judge because, I mean, seriously, he is a judge. The pilot will be directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who did the MIB films. I got a question for you guys. You guys ever see Clerks, the animated series?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
remember that episode where Jay tries to sue
Yes.
And
Dante?
Judge Reinhold.
As soon as
It's
I
got
was
Judge
reading
Reinhold.
this, actually,
Yeah.
as I was reading this article, I started to think of
Yeah,
that
I was thinking
scene.
that
And-
too.
and-
They're referring to him as Judge Reinhold.
And one of the episode, like one of the ways that it ends, because if you remember, there's a multiple ending scheme to it.
Yeah.
And one of the ways, like the endings, is like Judge Reinhold, like he's about to give the verdict, and Axel Foley comes in, and they go around and start like
Putting
putting
bananas.
bananas in the tailpipes, and then it turns out it was just a dream, and he turns to his wife and he's like, "I had that dream again." That's just what I imagine his dreams were like.
I'm just glad that he did that for Clerks. That was hysterical.
You may not have known this, but back in the day, Stanley Kubrick wanted to make a movie about Napoleon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going to be awesome apparently, but it was never made. Now, Steven Spielberg.
It was going to be just as good as Eyes Wide Shut.
I did like Eyes Wide Shut though.
You and two other people.
Dude, okay, well anyway, Steven Spielberg is going to turn this movie that was going to be made but was abandoned, into a TV series. He's planning on making a miniseries based off of the life of Napoleon. By the way, I'm a huge Napoleon faggot. I love Napoleon and that era of history, French history. It's based off of all of the exclusive notes, pictures, and other things that Kubrick hoards every time he wants to make a movie. It was apparently so high budget and epic that the studios wanted absolutely nothing to do with it, basically. So, like, it was going to be such, like, this grand, sweeping epic.
That sounds like
Too
Kubrick,
expensive
though.
to make.
Yeah. That sounds like Kubrick as he got older.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, all of his shit was really out there and weird, but like as he got older, his shit got stranger and bigger and
Which
weirder.
is why I would like to have seen, like, that weird, like, Caligula-style movie, but involving Napoleon.
Yeah, I would have watched it. Now, check this out. I've got a fairly positive story here. An HIV positive story. Actually,
well, no, not anymore.
it's actually HIV negative.
Don't be so negative about this. It's actually good news.
A baby who was HIV positive has apparently been cured of the HIV and shows no signs of infection in his body. Just 30 hours after his birth, the baby, born to an HIV positive mother, was given antiretroviral drugs. A year of aggressive medication followed, which apparently was enough to destroy the virus inside of the baby. If they can replicate this case, this could be proof that HIV can, in fact, be cured.
2 comments on this. One, I
Go
like
for
to
it.
imagine.
No, this is a story I feel a lot about, so please say
Oh.
everything you want.
Okay, well, they're both very disrespectful. First thing, I like to
Well,
imagine.
you're a jerk.
Yeah, I like to imagine that they used, instead of just antiretroviral drugs, but they also used a tiny little submarine to blast the virus physically.
Like if they
Flavors.
shrank them down to the
Yeah,
size of...
yeah.
Yes, like it... What the hell is that movie called?
I can't remember anymore.
Oh,
Or
With
that episode
Martin
of
Short?
2021.
Oh.
He who smokes bitches.
Yeah, I can't remember that. Anyway.
Second comment. Tony Clifton has this joke.
Oh, good lord. I love Tony Clifton,
Tony
though.
Clifton is awesome. This joke is fucking my favorite joke of all time, probably. Did you ever hear the one about the baby with HIV?
I have not.
It never gets old.
Oh. Oh, anyway.
That one hurts, doesn't it?
It does. Okay. But no, I have to say, though, we know that I'm the anti-gay, that I'm a really bad gay man.
Well-
I'm the worst kind of gay man.
You're
But
just the worst kind of man
I
in person in general.
I really am.
Worse
But
than horses.
I'm a gay man. So the fact that there's potential for HIV to be cured, I really have
Oh,
to
dude,
say.
I'm for everything that that keeps the world boning.
Yeah, no, this is brilliant, and I can't wait to see what comes from
let
this.
me jump in here real quick and
Oh, please, by all means.
now the thing about this kid though is that they want to say that the kid, they don't like using the word cure.
Right.
The child is no longer HIV positive, but they still have markers in their DNA from where the virus attached and replicated itself. Incomplete strains. So now he doesn't like the kid doesn't have HIV anymore, but the kid is also, you know, they don't know, they've never experienced that before, where it's like been a partially replicated but not fully replicated disease.
Right.
So they don't know if it could come back at any time and be a full blown case, or that it was just in remission for this amount of time.
Well, like
But
I said,
we have to be very careful about when we use the word cure and when we use the word other words.
right. No, and I absolutely do agree. But cure or not, this is a huge step.
Right.
A huge step to finding a real cure for HIV. And I'm so excited to see what happens next. I can't wait.
I would like to see this kid grow up and be someone fucking amazing.
He's going to be president of the world.
Possibly. He's got that sort of messiah complex now. I mean,
What if he's the next Antichrist?
Whoa.
Right?
No, can you imagine like growing up as this kid though, like you're in school and everyone thinks you're tough because like the story going around is like he had HIV. Had.
He's the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
But then they would just be like, yeah, well, your mom's got HIV. And then,
You'd be
And
like,
then
yeah?
he kicks their ass.
Right?
no,
Or she.
probably sickly child.
Anyway.
Or, well, so was fucking Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay, stop raining on the HIV parade. Let's go on.
The HIV parade.
HIV parade.
The HIV parade. Oh, the HIV parade.
I think that's the name of the episode, HIV parade.
The HIV Parader, my favorite magazine.
HIV parader. Then Neil's like, no, we're not calling the episode that.
Don't worry, you can touch it just as long as you don't swap bodily fluids with it.
Oh.
Okay, so here's one I think you're gonna like, Neil, especially because you like Vikings and things about archaeology.
I do.
The Vikings, they were able to span the seas, as you know, from the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean and to North America, but they did so long before the invention of the magnetic compass, so people always wondered, how were they so successful at sailing and navigation? According to one medieval source from Iceland and the conjecture of modern archaeologists, they did this through the use of mythical sunstones, which locate the sun even on cloudy days. Now, that sounds fucking awesome and all, and I like to imagine these fucking massive bearded, like, Danishmen with these huge fucking shining stones, like, using those to, like...
That's not what they look like.
I don't care.
Let a man have
Let
his
me have
dreams,
my,
Neil.
Yeah, seriously. Holy shit, raining on my HIV parade. Well, anyway, so one of these sunstones has been found by a team from the University of Rennes.
Yeah.
It was found on a wreck of a British ship in the English Channel, sunk in 1592. Given that it was near other navigational tools, it was probably used as a navigational tool itself. It's a crystal the size of a cigarette packet. It's a Iceland spar is what the name of the mineral is. It diffracts light into two separate beams, and you can work out through these beams where they converge where the direction of the sun is, even on cloudy days and when the sun is set.
Nice.
So I really want to get my hands on some of that stuff.
Where? Okay. Well, you should work on that, sir.
Yeah,
But they actually
definitely
did have these big stones where, like, they would set them out, face them north, like a big sundial, but it would work more along the lines of it would tell them, like, based on different latitudes as well, because...
should. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was like a navigational computer, really.
Vikings are
Just
goddamn
had
cool.
sun.
Too bad they couldn't tell time at night. Anyway,
Yeah, you can with the moon.
The moon and the stars and this and the that.
I guess you're right.
Here's the stupid thing of the week.
I love this part of the 12-pack.
We always end the 12-pack with this stupid thing of the week.
This is actually kind of not stupid. Like, this is kind of cool.
It's actually kind of an awesome story, and chances are, I mean, if you watch the news, you've already heard of this, but whatever, it's a good story. So last week, on February 25th, a wanted fraud, Danny Frayne, was taken into a police station in Bradford, the north of England. The man who had apprehended this criminal was dressed in a familiar black and gray outfit with a cowl and a cape, and a symbol of a bat on his chest. Also, he was like 260 pounds.
Damn.
I've caught this one for you, British Batman said.
Wait.
No, it
Yeah,
has
see.
I've caught this one for you.
There we go. Thank you. That was not north, but close enough. Whatever.
Okay, well, I've caught this one for you. That's still Cockney. It's
Yeah.
still terrible bad. But I did throw an oi in there. The commissioner was appreciative and wanted to give him a reward, but when he turned around, the British Batman had vanished suddenly and without a trace.
I really wish that when he had vanished suddenly without a trace, he had left behind a bat phone for further use.
Well, the cowl came off, ladies and gentlemen. The British Batman has revealed himself as 39-year-old Stan Warby, and he works for a Chinese takeaway restaurant, presumably as the CEO.
Of course.
Stan Warby was at a football match in London on the 24th. Don't get excited, by the way. I looked it up. Chelsea was not playing in London at that day.
Oh.
So it was not Chelsea, so he's likely a scumbag.
Oh.
But he was at this football match.
Was it a menu match?
No, no, it was not. But they were playing Man City. But anyway, it was up in fucking Manchester.
Anyway, soccer clubs, football clubs aside, that's not what we're talking about.
Okay, anyway, so Stan Warby was at a football match on London on the 24th, wearing the Batman suit when Frayne, his friend, longtime friend, called wanting to turn himself in and needing a lift. So, as a joke, he helped his friend turn himself in while dressed up as the Batman. Also, he's offended that people are calling him fat, saying that he's not fat. He's actually just wearing a tracksuit underneath the Batman costume.
Why would you wear a tracksuit underneath your
Why
Batman?
wouldn't you? What if you had to have a quick disguise once you tore it off? You can't just be naked under the batsuit.
That is not.
You
the
cannot
reason.
be naked under a batsuit.
That is not the reason. The reason is because it's fucking cold in England.
No, that's true. Batsuits are not made for the cold. Well, I'm
Dude.
sure Batman's real suit is. But that's a great stupid story, though. I like that.
I like that stupid thing of the week.
So you know what? If one of us ever is wanted by the police and decides to turn the other in, can one of us like dress up as Batman and the other one Robin?
Dude, I've been wanting to do that for a very long time.
All right.
In fact, I want to go clubbing in a Batman outfit because I want to use the line, "Hey, baby, you want to come to my bat pad?"
I see.
And that kind of stuff. Also, funniest thing on the internet, How to Batman. Look it up. Really, like a fucking...
Yeah, fat guy.
Yeah, that really, like, 350-pound fucking man.
Batman, you gotta do this.
Yeah, and he's teaching you how to make, like, margaritas and shit.
Fantastic. And that's a perfect spot to end this week's 12-pack.
Indeed. That was a tasty fucking 12-pack.
As
Yes, it
always.
was.
So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/3 Drunk Geeks. That's facebook.com/3 Drunk Geeks.
Bitches holla out on Twitter. 3 Drunk Geeks.
What?
I said bitches be hauling at our Twitter on our Twitter sheet.
Hey, Neil, can you help me out here? I don't speak jive.
Shut up and do it right.
No. We do have a Twitter.
Do it like a Swanson.
I don't know how to do it like a Swanson.
Not like a man, like a Swanson.
Do it. Just
Don't.
More manly.
Where can they find us on Twitter?
You can find us on Twitter at
No,
twitter.com
no.
3 Drunk Geeks. That's the number 3, not the letter Drunk Geeks.
Not a Swanson.
That's a bail.
That's
Anyway.
my bail. That's my bail.
Neil.
Well, if you're a fan of using your mobile device as opposed to downloading, you could use your mobile device to get the Stitcher app and download us. And you can save your precious gigabytes.
You don't want your gigabytes all filled up with our nonsense.
No, you don't. So I say get Stitcher, look up the 3 Drunk Geeks, and guess what? It's not just us. There's thousands, literally thousands of other types of stuff to listen to on Stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely amazing.
If you don't want to use the fine Stitcher Radio app on your mobile device, you can always use traditional iTunes and find us under 3 Drunk Geeks. Be sure and rate us favorably and leave us reviews. It does help get our name out there to other potential listeners.
We're appreciative of our fans.
We love our fans.
And we like to hear your voices too sometimes. Not all the time. Especially if you're certain people.
We love it when you give us things.
Yeah, we like it when you give us things, and we want the gift of your voice. And you can give it to us
Gift
through
us
our
your
email, through our
voice.
voicemail, not our email.
Not our email.
You can email us with your voice at 830-542-2260.
Email us.
That's 830-CON0. Con with 3 A's, of course.
We also accept dirty pictures and soiled underwear.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well-
What's this wee shit, Frenchie?
No, I want dirty pictures. Send all the dirty pictures to 3drunkgeeks at gmail.com.
Yes. I'd laugh if someone actually did that.
Yeah. Yes,
We'll post them.
We will pose in them. We'll Photoshop ourselves into your dirty pictures.
Yes, I like that. Anyway, be sure and check us out on the next episode of the 3 Drunk Geeks, in which we'll be discussing technology. Is it helping us or hurting us?
Helping.
Hurting.
We'll see.
Anyway, until then,
Cheers.
stay nerdy, my friends. And cheers.
And cheers. bullshit.